Hey, guess what? U.S. resumes biolab programs in Ukraine. Now, this is from April 7th. Now, why is this funny? Because they said that you were a crazy white supremacist conspiracy theorist if you thought this.
And you were.
And you were. So this is from March of 2022 from Reuters. U.S. dismisses Russian claims of biowarfare labs in Ukraine. Just dismisses them. This is from USA Today. Fact check. False claim of U.S. biolabs in Ukraine tied to Russian disinformation campaign.
Did you? Okay, so I looked up that fact because I wanted to see what the facts that were wrong in the fact check. It's not America doesn't own those labs. They're in Ukraine's name. They're not U.S. labs technically because they're all run by. Like, why are they running that?
So when you see this, it says U.S. resumes biolab in Ukraine. That's from Telesur. What do you mean resumes? This was fact-checked to be false. This was already fact-checked to be false. How could you say that? There it is. USA Today fact-checked it last year in February of 2022. This is false.
No, they just have a treaty. I don't know why, if it's just Ukraine's and not America's, we would have a treaty for them to have biolabs. Doesn't really add up. Then why are we involved at all?
Right.
If they have their own but I thought the fact check was going to be something like, well, they're actually peaceful biolabs. So it's because this weird technicality that it still doesn't really address.
So this is Ella Lee, USA propagandist, doing some garbage reporting and actually doing fake news. That's called fake news. So that's why they say they don't like Alex Jones, because Alex Jones would do fake news. That's what they say. And now, of course, we see there's USA Today and Reuters. They're doing it all the time, 24/7. They're the ones actually doing fake news all the time.
I bet they admit that Iraq was a bad idea now. At least you got to give them 20 years to come around.
So you want to see how we know that there's bio labs in Ukraine, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fauci was the guy who was funding them, because
they sound very Wuhan-ish.
If JFK or RFK Jr. Revealed on the show that Fauci was put in charge of the Pentagon's bioweapons research
after the anthrax thing?
After the anthrax thing, somewhere around 2002 or 3 or something like that, which is why he was the highest paid guy in government, because he also got that job. So he was the NIAID guy, whatever, and then he was also the Pentagon's bioweapons guy, and then he was authorizing bioweapon research all over the place. Viruses escaped 3 times in the United States, so they shut down that gain of function here, and then they shipped it over to places like Ukraine and China, probably, right? So here's Marco Rubio asking Victoria Nuland if there are bioweapons labs in Ukraine, and he got the wrong answer.
Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware of that.
You know what she sounds like? One time in college, I remember we lost 1/8 of like really good weed in a thrift shop, and my girl was like, "Did you find like a green bag?" That's how she sounds.
That is how she sounds. So if they're not bioweapon research, why would you be afraid that they would fall into Russia's hands? That right? Of course, right? And so
the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country, and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Classic. That's just the Russians do that. She would never do that.
Classic, bruh.
we don't do that. Americans never do that.
Russians always making up a pretext to go invade somewhere.
Classic. Hey, Marco Rubio, Russia might take our non-military civilian research. We worked hard on that research. That's
do
why
your
he's
own homework, Russia.
That's why he's upset. Here it is again. This is from March 10th, 2022, with CIA Director Bill Burns. Here we go.
What I think got some people fired up is when she said, we're worried that the Russians will get a hold of these facilities, because that implies that there's something in those facilities dangerous.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what that implies, right? So
I don't know if you could shed some light on how there can be things in a lab that are dangerous, but they not be weapons labs.
All I would say, Senator, is that the danger here, it seems to me, is the capacity the Russians have developed and that they've used in the past, and their interest in trying to create false narratives here as well. To the best of my knowledge, you have to be careful about any of those substances you've talked about, which you see in public health or research systems around the world for civilian purposes. You have to be careful about that. That is in no way akin to the kind of threats that would be posed by, weapons research and development or weapons facilities.
No, just a green bag. There's nothing. Just did you find a green bag? If you find one, call this number.
Find a green bag. This is the green bag with some green stuff in it. You find it. So that was that guy. Hey, how could it be dangerous if it's not a bioweapon? Mumble, stammer. Once again, Russia disinformation mumble. I've seen 6-year-olds lie more convincingly about if they brushed their teeth or not than this guy. Did you brush your teeth, Timmy? Russia lies a lot. Neither this guy nor Victoria Nuland denied that they are bioweapon facilities. Did you notice that? And so that brings you to our article, U.S. resumes bio. The Russian Defense Ministry has asserted that the United States has recommenced its contentious biological laboratories initiative within the territory of Ukraine, with a primary focus on the construction of secretive new facilities and the training of personnel. During a media briefing held on Friday, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, the commander of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical defense forces, presented a new collection of documents regarding purportedly U.S.-funded biological programs in Ukraine. During the briefing, he stated, despite the forced pause pertaining to the Russian special military operation in Ukraine, the United States activities under the program have now been resumed. The main task at this stage are to continue the construction of biological laboratories in Ukraine, as well as expand the format for training Ukrainian biologists. Krylov referenced the meeting minutes of October 20, 2022, wherein delegates from the U.S. Defense Threat Reduction Agency, several Ukrainian dignitaries, and representatives from Jacobs CH2M engineering firm were in attendance. The reported agenda of the meeting pertained to the recommencement of biological research activities in Ukraine, which had been temporarily halted in the context of the conflictual situation between Moscow and Kiev. Boy, these people really write weird. Now the project has been resumed with focus on renewal of legislative support, revision of training schedule, as well as conclusion and resumption of construction work, the Ukrainian language protocol stated. According to the document, it was revealed that the program, which was originally referred to as Joint Biological Research, has been renamed as Biological Control Research.
Great.
We're going to control it. I was like what they did at Wuhan.
Yeah.
We're going to control. These are control. Well, you're going to be. How do you know you're going to control? It says right in the name.
We're going to call it the No Pangolins Allowed Club.
According to Krylov, the United States has undertaken measures to mitigate any risks of information leakage stemming from the Ukrainian experts concerning the authentic essence of the biological research program. Okay,
classic Russian propaganda.
Classic. So good news. We're back doing really risky shit in Ukraine.
Yeah, now is the best possible time to resume that sort of research in Ukraine.
Unbelievable. Go to jimmydore.com to see my new stand-up special, COVID Lies Are Funny. For only $10, you get to become a premium member, too. And come see us do our live shows. We're going to be doing stand-up comedy in Milwaukee, Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, New York, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Maryland, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.